Hi friends, I'm Hector Ruiz, and today I want to share with you a very special experience I had recently restoring some exotic chairs. From the beginning, this project was a challenge. To restore them to their original shape, we had to fabricate several new pieces. But, of course, we had no problem accepting this challenge. We confidently said yes, set a price, a start and delivery date, and in the end everything went very well. These chairs had a Roman-style arm design, something I already knew well from previous experience. Years ago, when I worked for a Frenchman in Costa Rica and also here in Nicaragua, I had already done several similar jobs, maybe 20 or 25 years ago. The result was impressive. The chairs were beautiful, almost identical to the originals. But it was not easy. I decided to propose an important change to the client. Instead of using cedar as the original chair makers had done, I proposed to make them in mahogany. Although cedar is a good quality wood, for my taste it is a bit soft for this type of furniture. Mahogany, on the other hand, is more resistant and elegant. The client accepted both the deal and the change of material. So, with everything defined, we got down to work. Working these arms in mahogany wood was not easy. Using this tool, known as a cooper or by other names depending on the country, requires experience, patience, and respect for the wood. Knowing how to handle it is fundamental, almost an art, especially with hard pieces such as mahogany or granadillo. These woods are unforgiving of mistakes. But when it comes to chairs, especially rocking chairs, there is no better choice. Never, and I repeat, never use softwood to make a rocking chair. Even for dining chairs you have to be careful. Cedar, for example, is a good quality wood, yes, but it is not ideal for chairs. I've seen mistakes in chairs that looked well made, but had cedar parts, and that's where they failed. These arms I'm restoring now, on the other hand, are solid. Strong mahogany, firm to the touch, beautiful to look at, and this restoration, I'm liking it more every day. Seeing something that seemed lost come back to life is a satisfaction that is hard to explain. I remember a client who once said to me, "I want to make a set of rocking chairs, but nobody wants to make them for me in granadillo. They say it's too hard." And I replied, if that wood falls into my hands, cry. So we set a date. I accepted, because this is my thing. What happens is that many don't want to do this kind of work, but you also have to be prepared for the price. As a good friend of mine used to say every time he lent me his lathe, "Do you want the pulley that charges in dollars, or the one that charges in cordobas?" Well, we've already made the new arms, so now we're going to move on to disassembling some parts. While I was at it, I came across something that honestly surprised me, the type of screw they used in these chairs. Truth be told, I had to say it, how badly they did it. They used common, simple screws like plaster screws, gypsum screws, too thin, and on top of that, some of them were broken. A total mistake. So, well, we disassembled almost everything. The idea is to glue the pieces back together with new glue. Some of them could not be completely disassembled, so we used another technique. We injected the new glue with needles directly into the joints. And speaking of surprises, the arms also caught my attention. Not because of how good they were, but because of how they were joined. The ideal when you make arms like these is not to make them in one piece because they break. The wood thread would be crossed and would lose strength. What is normally done is to assemble them in two pieces. Then, when joining them, a wooden dowel or spike is placed in the center, and two vertical spikes are nailed to reinforce them. This way it is very firm. But what did they do? Nothing like that. They just joined them at the top and from the front, with a screw. Weary face, what in God's name is that? I thought to myself at the time, this can't be. But hey, that's the way things are. We're still going through the process. Well, now we will move on to the installation of the arms. After having glued the pieces back together and having woven both the backrest and the seats, everything completely new we proceed to place the decorative caps. These caps not only have an aesthetic function, but also cover the screws that we use to fix the pieces. In addition, we put in the plugs attached to cover the wooden rods that we added as reinforcement to the carved backrests. These plugs are made from wooden rings, cut in half and fitted with a guide. We only used glue to attach them and they really turned out great. In the case of this mahogany hoop, we decided to manufacture it in 3 pieces. This decision allowed us to achieve a perfectly uniform radius. After assembling the pieces, we proceeded to sand them carefully to form a plate. Then, using a router with the appropriate milling cutter, we shaped the rim. The result was amazing. A perfect circle with an impeccable finish, all in a thickness of 1 inch and 1/8 by 1 inch and 1/8. The final sanding was done entirely by hand, which brought a level of detail and smoothness to the touch that, in my eyes, represents something perfect. Mahogany wood, precise joints and quality glue. No screws, no nails, just wood joined with wood. Well, we are now fixing the hoop on the saddle that was broken. We also bought new tires for the rockers, and we are fitting them with contact screws, nailing them to the rockers to achieve a better movement of the swing. We also took advantage of the opportunity to wallpaper and start applying the first stains. Today I want to share with you a project that, honestly, has been an unparalleled experience. I was delighted with the final result, and even more delighted to know that my clients were fascinated by it as well. We combined mahogany stain with soft breezes of dark walnut, achieving an elegant and warm tone. Of course, we used quality materials such as polyurethane sandable primer and a beautiful satin finish. Light bulb, the combination was a total success. The clients were delighted, and they are already asking me when I will be available for other jobs. And I always tell them, soon. Because after all, this is not work for me. It's fun. I am deeply grateful to God for giving me the opportunity to do what I love. I feel very happy and blessed. Folded hands, thanks to all my Spanish-speaking followers and also to the bilingual people. A very special greeting to everyone in the US and in the UK. By the way, I have a blue machine coming from over there, grinning face with smiling eyes. And you know, if you are not yet subscribed, don't wait any longer. Those who already are, know that you are my friends. To all of you, 1,000 thanks and God bless you.
Ba-da-ba, ba-da-ba, ba-da-ba,